Hey there, it's Jonathan with LacrosseGoalieTips.com, and I want to talk about shooting strings for the goalie stick. I've tried pretty much everything when it comes to shooting strings, and if you look at college goalies today, there's some basic tried and true string jobs. There's no one way to string a stick in general. Every stick now comes out with they come up with extra holes, extra places to string, add shooting strings, add V strings, all that stuff. So I just want to talk about kind of the basics. And my premise on this is that we don't want to have two things where we can just get away with one, all right? And so, at one point, I think I had 6 shooting strings in here, all cotton. Man, if it rained, that stick was so heavy, it was ridiculous. So, I've kind of narrowed it down, and my suggestion for goalies now is to narrow it down is you pretty much just need 3 strings. And you notice I do not have a V string. I'm not a fan of the V. I like the idea for a short stick, like a midi or an attackman. There is some benefit potentially to having it channel the ball, but for a goalie, this pocket is so big, and what I find is when you do a V, there's potential for the ball to get hung up kind of in the sides and stuff, and if you're not skilled enough to know that the ball's there when you go to throw it, you're going to make really bad outlet passes, things like that. Yes, you can get over it. I'm just not a fan, so you don't see me have it. Basically, I've got 3 strings. I've got the top string is made out of sidewall lacing, because basically this string takes a beating. When you're in warm-ups and you're gonna make a lot of saves up in this portion of your stick. If this is a cotton lace, okay, it is gonna take that lace is gonna stretch and stretch and stretch, and it's gonna stretch a lot before it actually gets to a point where it's set and it's done. And so you're gonna have a tough time with that stringing, restringing, tightening, all that stuff. It's gonna take a lot of time out of practice, especially. One way to fix that is that if you take that lace and soak them in water, all right, let them dry, and then stretch the heck out of them before you string your stick. Okay, that's one way to bypass the cotton lace issue when it comes to string your stick. The other one is you can buy, they're popular up in Canada more than in the US, but there's waxed laces, all right? That's a whole other deal. I've got 2 cotton laces here, 2 cotton, and these are hockey skate laces, all right? So you can get these at any store that has hockey skates. And what I recommend that there are nylon hockey skate laces and they're cotton laces. I just like the cotton ones, and I think what I like about them is that they're not springy. Nylon laces tend to be springy. They stretch and they give, and they don't ever get done. They don't ever kind of, they're tough. They're not very consistent. So that's why I like the cotton laces, especially after they've gotten wet a few times, and then your stick is kind of set and you've got a nice consistent pocket. So you go to practice, you go to games, and that ball is releasing out of your stick the same over and over and over again. All right, so basically, I've got a space, I've got 1 diamond. This is a 12 diamond mesh. I've got 1 diamond between the top and the first lace. I got a diamond to the second lace, 1 diamond to the third lace, and then pretty much we're good. What I'm looking for here is I want a nice easy release of the ball out of the top. You don't want the ball coming off the plastic. You want the ball coming off the mesh, or off the mesh, off that top string. And I pretty much when I lace up a string to start, or lace up a stick to start, that top shooting string is as tight as I can get it. All right, this top one is as tight as I can get it because it's going to stretch over time. The next one is equally as tight, just a hair less, and the third one is a little looser. Okay, mind you, the pocket too. When I start the pocket out pretty tight. As this pocket starts taking shots and it starts to stretch out, you're going to have to make adjustments to your shooting strings, adjustment to the pocket, especially the lace down here, to get the right depth and get the type of the release you want. Okay, but pretty much that's it. You don't want it. Where there's 2 strings, you don't need 4 strings here. Okay, again, that's redundant and it's extra weight in the stick, especially if it gets wet. You don't need that. And so I've pretty much narrowed it down over years of playing to 3 shooting strings, and pretty much it. Why complicate things if you don't have to, right? Extra strings in your stick mean extra maintenance. It means extra things that can go wrong. All right, so keep that in mind as you're stringing your stick. But pretty much this is my recommendation across the board. So good luck with that. If you got any questions, Jonathan at LacrosseGoalieTips.com. Thanks.